What was the worst advice someone gave you during your sporting days?
If you want to rule the court, you have to be a lion.
Yeah.
And what does a lion do? He's alone in the jungle.
Oh my god. And one truth about Indian sports that everyone knows, but nobody says out loud.
When you're doing well, people will give you all that attention. When you're not doing well, people give a damn. Wound the opponent.
Yeah.
Like you wound him once, wound her twice,
Yeah.
and then finally go for the kill. So that way,
Right.
it's a very intuitive sport.
How did you deal with failure? How did you deal with losing a tournament?
I couldn't handle failure. I
Yeah.
thought, oh shit, what have I done in my life?
Yeah.
I'm a loser, I'm waste, I'm this and that. And I would start crying.
I think that's what sport does.
I got a chance to represent India. I don't think so. You can explain that feeling
Yeah,
in words when you get
yeah.
that kitting, when you see that flag on your jersey. I think it's a very surreal feeling.
I think like sport is like so mental.
Just like you train your body, you need to train your mind as well. Just because you have not reached that dream that you have thought in your head doesn't make you a failure in life.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't even know that there is a sport called blind football. People who can't see, who are visually impaired, can actually play football. When they came into the football ground,
Yeah.
they had freedom because they knew the measurements.
Oh, okay.
So they would just run like they were free.
At the age of 21, Reshma Karthik was India's number one in badminton and even reached a world ranking of 82, representing the country on international stages. After consciously deciding to step away from professional badminton, she took on a very different role, a role as a coach for the Karnataka women's blind football team. She didn't just coach them, she built them from the ground up, leading them to win the National Blind Football Championship in 2021. In this podcast, we explore her journey from competing at the highest level to working behind the scenes as a coach, building teams, and creating impact in a whole new way. Today, she continues to work with para-athletes, driven by a vision to support hundreds of them in winning for India at the Olympics. So, Reshma, it's
Yes.
so nice to have you on the show. Young, dynamic, lot of clarity, and a very, very authentic person.
Okay.
And before we get into serious conversations about your life and how you got into being a badminton champion and other things in life, I would like to have some fun questions for you.
Definitely.
Yeah? So, what is one word to describe badminton?
I think fast and furious. I think badminton is just super fast.
Yeah.
You win and you lose point at the flick of a second. So I think it's fast and it's furious at the same time.
Right. Favorite cheat meal after training?
Pani puri for sure.
Yeah?
yeah, I love pani puri and my go-to cheat meal after training would be pani puri.
Wow, I think that's everybody's
Especially
cheat
the
meal.
roadside one, not the proper shop one, the roadside.
Right. Nice. One thing you disliked as part of your training routine?
I generally hate running.
Okay.
I don't like running, especially endurance running, because back in the day they would make us run 10 kilometers every weekend.
Yeah.
So I hated running, but it's like, I mean, every job has a few things you don't like, right?
Yeah.
Like for me as an athlete, I just hated running, especially the long distance, because they would make us run without earphones, without
Yeah.
music.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so they said you have to hear your breathing and understand, and
Oh,
you know,
is it?
Yeah, that's how you set tempo while you run. So no music and running was something I hated.
Given a chance to make you run now,
Yeah.
would you choose it or like no?
No, definitely not choose it.
No.
Now I'm retired. I don't need to run anymore.
So when you hit the gym, you prefer like doing other workouts?
I do run, but not like 10 kilometers. Back in the day, I would run. That's
Endurance running.
endurance running. I can
Yeah.
run 3-4 kilometers. I run, but
Okay.
not 10 kilometers. I
Nice.
think I'm done with those days.
Yeah. If you could tell the 17-year-old Reshma one thing,
Yeah.
what would it be?
I would tell myself to stretch.
Okay.
Because I've realized that the older you get, the stiffer your body gets, and,
Right.
and all these. I have knee injuries and ankle, and I have a back injury as well. So probably if I would have stretched better, I would have not had these post-retirement injuries. So definitely stretch.
Right. And what was the worst advice someone gave you during your sporting days?
The worst advice is that, if you want to rule the court, you have to learn, you have to rule like a lion. And
Okay.
a lion always sort of walks alone and is always alone.
Okay.
I think that was a stupid advice, because I did that and literally I was like all alone for a year, and no socializing, no speaking to friends, not interacting with my colleagues in badminton.
Yeah.
So I think it was not a...
Like just yourself.
Yeah, just myself, and I sort of cut off everything.
Oh my God! Like, where did you get this advice from?
Because, I mean, the coach said, and he actually, the way he said, he pumped all of us and motivated. See, you have, if you want to rule the court, you have to be a lion.
Yeah.
And what does a lion do? He's alone in the jungle.
Oh my God!
So I was like, okay, let's try this, because I was in that phase, ki trial and error. There's no harm in trying
So
things.
1 year of nothing else.
Yeah, 1 year, and then then later on I went and apologized to all my friends, colleagues. Ki,
So what did you do? Like just
didn't interact with anybody. Just came on the court, just trained and went.
it was a way of focusing.
Yeah, it was. I tried to do that, but it's not advisable.
Okay, not advisable. And your one tip to badminton lovers, like Bangalore has a lot of badminton lovers, people who play casually,
Yeah.
what would you give a tip to them?
I think my tip would be ki warm up.
Yeah.
That's very
True.
important, because
True.
you need your ankles and your knees to walk. Don't get too excited.
True.
And play badminton. But it's good to play, but you have to do your proper warm up, because the older you get, your knees, your shoulders, your ankles start giving up.
Yes, I agree with that. And what would brands choose according to you? Sponsoring a cricket player's Instagram post or funding 10 para athletes for a year?
I think a brand would definitely choose funding or sponsoring a cricketer's
Yeah?
Instagram post, because I think right now brands are looking at visibility and to reach the masses
Okay.
rather than impact. I mean,
Okay.
again, it's the choice of the brand. If it's more impact, then I would say para athletes. But if it's just visibility and brand awareness, I think
Yeah.
it would be a cricketer's Instagram post.
Right. One rule you change in badminton?
One rule, probably it would be the ability for the player to give warnings to the umpire
Why is
when
that?
things don't go in your favor. Because the umpire can give you a yellow card or a red card for misbehaving on court, right? Sometimes the umpires are not too nice to athletes as well.
Right,
So
right.
probably this rule I would.
Nice. And if not badminton, what would you have done?
It's a tough question, because I've thought of being a badminton player all my life.
Yeah.
If not, maybe I would have joined the CBI, or I don't know, like something
You're
into
into
crime,
investigating.
investigation, or if not, probably just opened a cafe or a restaurant.
Yeah, you thought about those things.
Maybe, I don't know.
You
Never thought about it. It was
Oh.
always badminton. Yeah,
Oh.
Growing up, it was always badminton.
That's very good singular focus.
Yeah, it was always badminton.
Nice. And one truth about Indian sports that everyone knows, but nobody says out loud.
I think you only receive support once you start winning. I think all of us know that, but we don't openly say it.
We don't talk about
We
it.
don't talk about it.
We only talk about it once we get the
Yeah,
championships.
once you get the championship.
And all it goes
Oh,
viral
all
in the news.
the good things that happen after that.
With the long struggle.
Yeah, no
and
one talks about that. Very few people.
no sponsorships, alone.
Yes.
Lonely journey.
Lonely journey. It's a very
Unrecognized.
unrecognized, ungrateful. I mean, people are not very grateful to the struggles that you go through. They only speak to you or interact with you once you do really well.
Yeah.
So yes, you receive support only when you win. That's
Oh God, how does that work? Like all through when you're playing
Yeah.
and you're still like not on the top. Like how does people respond to you generally?
See, I mean, if you're doing well, everyone wants to be friends or want to interact with people who are on the top or who are doing well, right? When you're
Right.
at a low level, no one gives a damn. Everyone's busy with their lives.
Yeah.
And once you start doing well, like, oh, I helped you do this, remember me? So those things happen. But yeah, it's when you're on the top, people give you that attention, give you that focus, give you whatever you basically want.
Did you go through that as a sportsman?
Yes, I did go through that.
And how?
But it's a phase, it's a part and parcel of life, right?
Yeah.
If when you're doing well, people will give you all that attention. When you're not doing well, people give a damn. So there was one time I was doing really well. I was getting all the attention from my coaches in the academy. My coach would come and train me only because, the ratio in academies is like there'll be 2-3 coaches. There'll be about 10, 15 odd players, right? So a coach can't be there on every court and training every athlete. So sometimes, and the coach is generally working with athletes who are doing well at that time for that phase. So when I was doing well, every session my coach would come and feed me. My coach would call me, ki come, let's do extra sessions and all.
Right.
But if you're not doing, you're on the last court, you're just training, you're just there, you grind it yourself.
Yeah.
And slowly once you start climbing the ladder, again, from the last court, you come to the first court.
Nice.
So-
But what does one have to like do to handle that? You know, like all the one when you're not getting the attention, and one when you do get the attention. Does it like throw you off? Does it throw you off? Does it like
It definitely throws you off in the first time when it happens. You're suddenly getting so much attention, and you'll be like, oh, the coach is only training me, and you're like flying with amongst all your colleagues and your counterparts.
Yeah.
But when you see that wave going up and down, right? When you're training, you're up, and then when you're doing well, you're up, and when you're not doing well, you're down. Then you sort of get used to that. Ki haan, theek hai, I am not doing well, so I'm on the last court. Oh, now I'm doing well, so I'm like promoted to the first court.
Yeah.
So you get used to that feeling, honestly. At the start, it's new.
Yeah.
At the start, both the feelings are pretty new. Ki, oh
Yeah.
shit, what is happening?
Yeah.
Why is it happening to me? And you go in that victim mode, oh, this, that, and you cry and do all of that.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, you get used to that feeling, no? Then it's a process. I mean, if you do well, you get attention. You don't do well, you don't get attention. But you keep grinding. The grind goes on. The process doesn't stop.
Right.
Once you start believing in the process, then the outcome honestly doesn't matter.
Right.
So-
And how early did this process start for you? Like, what age did you get into badminton, and how did you come about getting into this sport?
Yeah, I got into badminton at a very early age.
Right.
And the main reason for me to getting into sports was my mother.
Okay.
It was like I think my mother's unfinished dream that she wanted to be an athlete herself.
Okay.
Wasn't possible because of family, so wasn't that supportive back in the day.
Yes.
Right. So she ensured that her kids would get into sport.
Nice.
So it was not one sport. I got into 3 sports. I was
Okay.
doing karate, swimming, and badminton all at the same time. But
Huh.
it was so wise of my mother, the choice of sports.
Yeah.
It was not same. Each sport was complementing the other. Like karate was mainly for self-defense.
Okay.
And I feel my defense in badminton was like I was really a good defensive player.
Oh, nice.
And credit goes to karate because there's so much body defense that I had done as a young kid. People are throwing punches at you, kicks at you,
Very
and you're
interesting.
defending.
Yeah.
And that actually helped me in
I think
badminton.
the mental thought
and
process.
your reaction also sort of karate helped me react faster.
Nice.
And swimming is a life-saving skill. I think
True.
everyone should learn swimming.
True.
And swimming is also, it builds your aerobic capacity. For a
Right.
sport like badminton, because it's endurance, there is endurance involved in
Yeah.
badminton as well. So that helped me. But karate and swimming was something I was not very keen on because I was not good at it.
Okay.
And karate, though, I was like scared. I would not fight and all. I would keep running. People are fighting and I'm like running this side or that side.
Nice.
It didn't come to me naturally, but badminton came to me naturally and I was doing well at it. That was one of the reasons
Nice.
that I thought that I would continue it. And I feel badminton is a very intuitive sport that way also.
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle, but you're playing at a high speed, right? I mean,
Yes.
there's always a move. You do one move, that move, this move, and you're always trying to get a point and sort of strategizing how to get the point.
It's a very fast game, like mentally also
Mentally
very
also,
active. You have to be very
yes.
present.
Very present, be in the moment, right?
Yeah.
And you also have to find a way on how you're going to get the point from the opponent,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
you have to like sort of wound the opponent, like
Yeah.
you wound him once, wound her twice,
Yeah.
and then finally go for the kill. So that way
Right.
it's a very intuitive sport.
Yeah.
And you're real time competing with another person. So that's thrill. Like I think that's how I
Yeah.
decided to pursue badminton.
I think mentally badminton, you have to be present for such a long time. Like you can
Yes.
never lose your focus, right? You're
Yeah.
constantly watching
Yeah.
the shuttle.
Yeah, you have to be in the moment.
I think people forget that it's such an intense sport because doesn't have the kind of viewership or the entertainment factor
Correct.
that other sports have.
It doesn't have the viewership because it's so fast, right?
Yeah.
That the camera can't catch it
Yeah.
live. So
Yeah.
that's why I think people don't understand unless you go to a stadium and watch it
Yeah.
live. it's a different experience.
Right.
But I think that's why badminton viewership wise is not doing well, because
Yeah.
it's so fast that you sort of can't catch it on camera or can't understand the nuances of speed and
Yeah.
reaction when it comes to
Yeah.
watching it on TV.
Yeah. And when your mum got you into sports,
Yeah.
at what age did you like take off? Like, was it 6, 8? What time did you like, what age did you really get into badminton hardcore?
Hardcore, I got into badminton when I was about 10, 11.
10.
I started playing tournaments by the time.
Oh,
Otherwise,
nice.
it was still just fun and some just
And,
happy-go-lucky.
Like, how many hours of practice, what? Because when you're playing so intensely, there's a lot other things that you're not doing. There's
Yeah.
so many sacrifices that you make, your family makes, as a
Yeah.
family you all make together.
Yeah, lots of sacrifices actually. As a young kid, I think people playing sport at a competitive level, you're already leading the life of an adult while you're still a kid or a teenager. Because there's so much discipline, there's so much focus, there's a routine set, right?
Right.
Because I remember when I was 11, 12, I was going to school. So before school, I would do one session, then I would go for school. And then after school, I would do one session. And then after badminton, I would do swimming also, because swimming helps
Right.
in badminton. So I was literally training for like 4 to 5 hours when I was about 10 or 11 years old.
Yeah.
And that is the amount of sacrifice I did. I was waking up like, say, at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I was putting a session for 2 hours. And then you come back home, you get ready, you eat right. And then you get ready, you go to school.
Yeah.
And school, again, you're not resting, right? You're, again,
Yeah.
focusing on studies. There's so much homework, this and that happens. Then again, I was coming back home. Again, have a quick snack, get ready. And again, go for another session.
Education was full time. There was no
Education was
cutting
full time
corners.
till 10th standard.
Okay.
Till 10th standard, and I had a supportive school also. But
Okay.
of course, education took a backseat when I played for India at the first time when I was about 15 years old.
Like, according to you, people
Yeah.
in sports,
Yeah.
kids today, youngsters, what should they do in terms of how to balance education and their training? Should they give time to both, balance both?
Definitely, they should do both. Education for an athlete is very, very important.
Yeah.
Because there is only like that 1% cream that, ends up making it big in sport.
True,
Like for a
true.
sport like badminton, people are only aware of a PV Sindhu or a Saina Nehwal, for that matter, right? What about the others? There are so many million girls, boys playing the sport. What about them?
Yeah, true.
So the odds of making it big is very less. It's just that 1%. Not every other person is not making it really
Yeah,
big in
absolutely, yeah.
sport, right? So what do the other people do?
What do they do?
You have to have an education.
Right.
Because if you don't have an education, sadly you will not get a job as well. So having that education, having that strong foundation, at least being a graduate is very, very important.
Yeah.
And there are so many things. See, these days what's happening is parents, because they know that if you make it big, there's a lot of money in sport.
Yeah. Is there?
Yeah, there's a lot of money in sport. Like I think Sindhu was in Forbes 30 under 30 for many years, and
Yeah.
she's
Big as in big internationally.
big internationally,
Top.
like an Olympic medalist
Yeah.
or a world champion. That big.
And what does it take to get there in terms of, money,
Yeah.
in terms of like effort, of course, and support from family, of course, everything else fine. And in terms of financially, how much money do you think that, because you've lived that life, does one need to get into serious sports to make it to that level?
See, if you're just playing sport for the fun of it, it's cheap.
Yeah.
If you're playing sport at a medially competitive level, it's still okay. But if you're deciding to become a professional athlete,
Yeah.
it's a completely different ballgame.
Where does
And
the
it's-
money go?
Yeah, it's a huge financial burden, honestly, because it's just not rackets, it's not your equipment. There's diet, there's supplements, there's coaching fees, there's a physio. You'll need a physio because you get injured. You need an SNC. You need a sports psychologist. You need to travel. Then the big money goes into the tournaments that you play, right? Because badminton is a ranking-based sport. You have to maintain your ranking for you to qualify for bigger events. So in a year, you'll end up playing 10 to 15 tournaments.
Okay.
So you say average of about 1 lakh. Talking about international tournaments. And
Yeah.
traveling abroad is not cheap.
Absolutely.
And if you're traveling abroad, you have to eat right. That's also not cheap.
Yeah.
Eating healthy these days has become so expensive.
Absolutely.
Eating junk food is cheap. It's dead
Yeah.
cheap these days.
Yeah.
So easily, just the travel bit easily about 15 to 20 lakhs per year, so you will have to set aside for tournaments. And
It's crazy.
that's a lot of money. So that's why it's a huge financial burden for you as an athlete and on the family, because I mean you can't do it without your family.
Yeah,
right?
and I think also the family has to sign on to the
Yes.
investment in terms of,
Yes.
mentally, physically, and
Yes.
that they know that you're going to go perform. Does it build performance pressure for you? Did it build for you?
A lot, because every tournament I would go, I know my parents are giving me 2 lakhs for a tournament I'm going
Yeah.
to Europe.
Yeah.
And then if I'm going and losing in the first round or second round, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm thinking, oh shit, 2 lakhs is gone down the drain.
Oh my God, yeah.
What am I going to do? How am I going to be answerable? Because I mean,
Yeah.
it's their money. I mean, it's not my money, and I can't just blow it up like this, right?
Yeah.
I
You
need
feel
to be
responsible.
I need to be accountable for my performance.
Yeah.
But luckily, my parents were very supportive. They did give me time, and but towards the end, I was like, it's their money. I can't just keep blowing it up this way.
In the younger days when you were playing tournaments, how did you deal with failure? How did you deal with losing a tournament? Like, what was your experience like as a younger, small girl who's
Yeah.
playing badminton?
So when I was like really young and I started tournaments, I couldn't handle failure. I
Yeah.
thought, oh shit, what have I done in my life?
Yeah.
I'm a loser, I'm waste, I'm this and that. And I would start crying.
How young were you?
10 years
10.
I started playing tournaments.
Yeah.
So 9-10 years I started playing state tournaments. I started
Okay.
playing.
Okay.
So I would go and then I would start crying in the middle of the match, and people would think, what has gone wrong with this girl?
Oh my
I'm
God.
like, I'm crying and I'm playing. and
That's
my
so
mother
sad.
and my mother would say, listen, it's fine to lose, but don't do this crying drama. And she would say, why are you doing all this? I said, I'm not doing any drama, but I'm
Just,
feeling bad. It's
just tears are
automatically
dropping
coming.
down.
Just tears are dropping down. And one time it so happened that I'm crying and I like ended up winning the match.
Oh God.
And my opponent started crying because she was in a winning position and she lost the match.
Oh my God.
So it was. So sometimes it's funny. This was one of the funny incidents. But yeah, I think once you start understanding what failure means, you get used to that feeling of losing multiple times. Then your approach to failure changes.
But as a young kid, it's so hard to deal with failure, right?
yeah.
Like, I mean, if you're not able to control and tears are coming out, that means genuinely like your muscle, your heart, your brain
Yeah,
is
it
not
meant
able
so
to,
much to me also. Right?
Yeah. And I mean, it's not able to deal with the failure or how to understand it. It takes a
Yes.
little bit of age and maturity to get to that.
Yes. So I took time. I took like good 2 years to get out of that.
Yeah, or 12, when you were
Yeah,
12.
when I was 12,
Yes,
when I
that's
was
still, you learned a very big lesson
Yes,
very early on. I think
yes.
that's what sport does.
Yeah, it eventually teaches you.
Yeah.
It eventually teaches you and eventually prepares you for, the journey ahead is what I feel.
Yeah. And when you're training, what was like, were there like incidents where you didn't want to train? How did your parents push you? Did you not like it? Because I'm sure, for anybody in sport, every day getting up, doing the same thing and keeping the same intensity, it's
Yeah.
not easy. And
Yeah.
parents also have to push.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
did you have any interesting moments there?
Yes. So, see, when you're a kid, you don't know what you're doing in life, right?
Yeah.
Mom said, do badminton.
Yeah.
I did badminton.
Right.
Mom said, do swimming. You're
Right.
so young, you're dumb. You don't know what to do.
Yeah.
You just want to go run around and play.
Right. True.
Right? That's what you want to do. But my parents, I think, realized that this girl has potential, because as a kid, I was extremely naughty. I was hyper at home.
Okay.
I was not someone who would play with dolls and all. I remember
Right.
I have an older brother, and we would watch WWE and we would fight and
Right.
he'd pin me down and do all of that.
Right.
And whenever I would lose, I'd go and put some water or coke on his head or just go and break his toy. So it was started like that.
Okay.
So I had so much energy that my parents felt that if channelized in the right way,
Nice.
she can do something good.
Yeah.
So early on, training I hated it. I hated waking up in the morning. And I used to have karate on like thrice a week. And on the other remaining days in the morning, I was just sleeping. So my mother and my parents decided, my dad used to go jogging. So my parents decided, you take her also. So then we started like a 5-kilometer run.
Okay.
There was a route from my house and you'd
Yeah.
run back.
Okay.
And I was a kid, I hated running. Who will get up at 5 o'clock and go running
True.
and do those
Nobody
things?
likes that.
Nobody likes that.
Yeah.
And I started coming up with excuses.
Okay.
And I was so smart. I mean, hats off to me back then. The excuse that I gave that my dad couldn't say no. Because I
Okay.
said, Papa, bathroom is coming. What do? I need to poop.
Yeah.
I can't. And I would cut cut short. So
Yeah.
he would get irritated. He was like, okay, now what can I do in the middle of the road? She's saying potty pressure.
Yeah.
So he would say, okay, you go back home. And then he would go ahead, finish his run. And I
Yeah.
am walking back. Aram se.
I think parents have a huge responsibility because they have to see your talent,
Yes.
identify it, channelize it, support it,
Yes.
nurture it, and then hope that you will somewhere
Yes.
come to understand your own potential.
Correct. And there is a phase also, I feel.
Yeah.
A lot of parents should do it. At least it's worked for me. Is
Yeah.
that when the kid is 9 to 12, 13, you're dumb.
Yeah.
You don't know anything.
True.
All you want to do is sit, eat,
Yeah.
watch TV or
Whatever is
play.
it, yeah.
At that time, if they be little, not very extremely hard or harsh on them, but
Yeah.
if they push them little
Yeah, yeah.
and channelize that energy or their interests in the right direction.
True.
And I think after 13, 14 onwards, the kid I myself was passionate.
Your motivation
Yeah,
started
my
then?
motivation started, and a lot of things also with that because
Yeah.
the exposure I got. So when I was about 12, 13, I started playing tournaments outside Bangalore. There were the national ranking tournaments that I started playing. I was seeing athletes of my age, girls of my age, putting in so much effort. And those things, makes you realize,
Yeah.
oh, if they can do it, why can't I do it?
True.
And at the same time, Rahul Dravid is my role model. And
Yeah.
I was reading his book, this was 13, 14 years. And that also made me realize, the kind of struggles he went, the push he gave, and at what age he started, giving it all in his sessions.
Yeah.
So all these experiences sort of made me realize, I can do something with my career, right?
But you were put in the zone, right? Like you were put in that zone by your
Yes.
parents, and you were
Yes.
like you read a book on
Yes.
from Rahul Dravid about
Yeah.
how he got into his
Yeah.
how he improved himself or how he
Yeah.
got in better in his sport. But if you don't, how do you get into that zone? Like you're in the zone. I don't think so. You were like doing anything else. You were just in that zone.
I was
right?
in that zone, and I was in that zone because of my mother.
Yeah.
If she would have not put me in that zone, I would have just gone to school.
Do you feel like, maybe
done
I
the
should have
usual
had
stuff.
a much more normal life? Like, doing all things, just maybe not
Definitely.
so disciplined, but like, whatever kids do, it's not anything in particular, but it's an easy life.
It's an easy life, yeah.
Would you have liked that as a person that you are?
Now, at that time, yes, I was like literally petrified of my mother saying, why is she making me do all of this?
Yeah.
But in hindsight now, like 15 years
Yeah.
since then,
Yeah.
no regrets.
I think we all come to appreciate how
Yes.
tough our parents were at that age, right?
Exactly. Because I think who I am now is because of the experiences I got and the exposure I got at a very early age.
And I think it's important to have role models because I feel like
Yeah.
there's a lack of that in the society today. Like you don't get to, like, how do you derive inspiration or look at someone and say, yeah, I want to do something like that? Like how there's so much noise. Do you feel
Yeah.
like there was a huge impact on you?
It's very important
Yeah.
to have role models. And I had not one, like I had 2, 3. One is, of course, Rahul Dravid, like I said.
Yeah.
Anytime I felt I needed some external motivation, I would read his books or
Yeah.
go through his interviews and all of that.
Yeah.
But I had role models at home itself, like my mom. For me to attend a 5 a.m. session,
Yeah.
I had to be woken up because I was 13,
Yeah.
14 years old. So
Yeah.
someone had to wake me up at 4:30.
True.
And someone had to pack my tiffin, someone had to make my kit ready or get, whatever, the usual things. So she had to wake up at 4.
Yeah.
And seeing her do it, I mean, why does she have to do all of this, right?
True.
Of course, she was a homemaker back in the day.
Yeah.
But she also has a life, right? Just because you're a homemaker doesn't mean that just taking care of your kids and, taking your kids from here to there, XYZ points is what you have to do.
Yeah.
But she did that.
You came to appreciate that so young.
No. Now.
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
of course, I sort of realized that when I became older, when I became 16, 17, when I was becoming a teenager, that's when I realized that my mother has really slogged so much to sort
Yeah.
of help me reach this level, right?
Yeah.
So I think role models within the family, how parents, I think parents, as kids, you learn, you pick up things from your parents,
Yeah.
or from people you're living with, right?
Yeah. And then through these failures and losing tournaments, when did you decide that I must win, I must reach the top? What was that? Was there like a turning point or something that switched in your head?
Yeah, so once you start losing, then you'll be like, "Arey yaar, what is this?"
Yeah.
I mean, you have the same body, you have the same opportunities, training, everything is the same. You have to put in that effort because the platform is given. it's now time for you to put in that effort.
And how was it the first time when you won? When you won, when you were I think under 13.
Under 13, I won, was the first tournament I won in Hyderabad. And it was after a long time I won because I kept losing in the semi or the final. I would always end up losing in the semi or final. And finally, I won a ranking tournament in Hyderabad when I was about 12 years old. That feeling was amazing. Because finally to see your efforts that you've put in to come into fruition is like, it's amazing. So that feeling, and I was so happy, and I don't know, it was an amazing feeling.
Yeah. Did it motivate you to like go further, or was it like, did it scare you? Did it build like performance pressure, or it was like, okay, now I can do it?
No, it definitely motivated me. Now I can do it. I mean, this is my time now. I have it in me, and that sort of helped me, give me that confidence to pursue sport more seriously, because every win at that age, you're very young, no? You purely go by how you're doing in sport, right? So every win was sort of giving me that boost, that confidence ki now I can do it. And that's when those dreams started coming in, to become world number one, to become an Olympic medalist, a world champion. So at the age of 13, 14, was when I was sort of inclining towards doing this as a full-time career.
Yes. So under 13, under 16, under 19, and then the seniors. You were ranking top at all these levels, right? And then you go on to represent India at the international stage. I think the first time you did was, you were 14 years when you did that?
I was 15 when I did it.
You were 15 when you did that. And how was that experience?
That experience was amazing. So it was my first time going abroad out of India. And I was extremely proud of the fact, because like I went to a school where a lot of people were going abroad for holidays. And I was so proud of the fact that I was going on my own merit. Like no parents booked my tickets or no one took me. I sort of earned my place, and I was taken abroad, and I got a chance to represent India. I don't think so you can explain that feeling in words when you get that kitting, when you see that flag on your jersey. I think it's a very surreal feeling. And finally I felt that whatever efforts I had put in, from the age of 9, I was training, finally I could see that, give me some fruits, right? I mean, all the seeds that were sown many years back, finally you could sort of eat those fruits. But I did realize it was just the start. Playing for India, I spoke to a lot of other peers who had played for India. A lot of coaches were telling me, don't get overexcited. This is just the start. You can achieve much more.
And how many years did that go on for?
So I started playing for India at the age of 15, and I played for India till about 22.
22.
So about 7 years.
Yeah, and how was that? Was like good? Up, down, or was it?
Up, down.
Up, down. I think up, down is the standard.
Up, down
There's nothing
is
called
the standard.
up.
If you're up, then you're like the greatest. I mean, even the greatest of all time athletes don't have a upward trajectory, right? Then you're God if you're having, if you're going upwards.
And were there like important turning points in this 7 years where you were like, what happened? Like mentally, did you feel, I'm going to go all the way? Did you feel like, I should decide and watch? Were there any important times, moments that you, introspected on?
I think when I was in the juniors, I was really good. I was always in the top 3, junior number 1, like everyone thought that this girl is going to make it big and all of that. But I felt when I transitioned from junior to senior was a phase which, of course, see, I don't come from a sporting background. My parents are not athletes themselves. So it was whatever I knew. And by the time I was 17, 18, at that time, you can't have your parents, you don't have those too many conversations with your parents, and you're at that phase, you don't listen too much to your parents. And I had played so much that I was beyond my parents giving me advice regarding sport, right? Because I knew so much more which they didn't know. So taking advice from them was not an option, because I'm like, arey, doesn't make any sense, whatever you're saying. So there I felt I needed, if I would have had a better team, now that I retrospect, who would sort of help me transition into the senior phase more smoother, would have been better. And that's where I feel mental, you were speaking about mental aspect of the sports, right? That transition is very important, because in the junior I was popular. I was like, I mean, I always say this, I was like a big fish in a small pond. But when you go into the senior level, it's a big ocean, right? There's so many fishes, there's sharks, there are whales, you are just another athlete. You're not India number 1, or you're not like the junior
The
champion.
competition is, it just expands.
It just expands. There's so many athletes, and you have to play qualifications. So I sort of got lost there. because I was coming in with me being something, and then you're like nobody,
Yeah.
kind of a feeling. But I did struggle there, but I took time. And eventually then I went on to become India number one in the seniors as well. Then I
Just such
broke
so
into
much mental
yes,
work and
mentally you have to
pressure.
be extremely tough.
I think like sport is like so mental.
It's very mental. It's very mental, and it's like, see, when you have an injury, you go
Yeah.
to a physio.
Yeah.
When you need to put on muscle or get stronger, you train with a SNC.
Yeah.
When you need to improve your technical game, you have your coach.
Right.
But for your mindset also, you need to train. Like
Yeah.
just like you train your body, you need
Yeah.
to train your mind as well.
Has that helped you in like now in life? How do you handle situations? Because now it must be like you just know how to navigate your mind, how to
Yeah.
deal with difficulties, stressful situations, judgments, failures. Do you think it's been
I
help?
think it's made me a thick skin now because I've lost so much. I have cried so much. I have been depressed so much that now these things I'm like, Arey, these are bachu things. Like, these are small things. I mean,
True.
why are you worrying about all these things? Because
Yeah.
I think athletes and sportsmen, if you've played professional sport, you'll be like, these are small things. Yeah, I mean, you can't like cry over these things, right?
I think the
There's-
importance of sports is so much.
Is
and
so much,
just
yeah.
teaches you how to like leadership, right? How to
Yeah.
turn pain into power,
Yeah,
adversity into
yeah.
some big opportunity,
Yeah.
convert all
Sports, honestly, to me, it's like a concise version of life, right?
True.
Because there's failure, it
Yeah.
teaches you how to lose with dignity. Then
Yeah.
there's victory, it teaches you how to win with grace. Because you can't be arrogant after you win, right?
Yeah.
Because if you be, that's when your downfall comes.
True.
Then discipline, routine, process.
It's almost a spiritual journey.
Yeah, it's so much. It's like, what if, I mean, I would, that's why I say everyone should play competitive sport, because what you learn leading a normal life about 40-50 years, you actually learn in those 7-8 years
True.
playing competitive professional sport, right?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. And being top of, at the top of your career,
Yeah.
and being India number one, you decide that, somewhere you decide that it's not the best place to continue.
Yeah.
And that is to come into that space, to even think about that, there must be so many things that you have evaluated. What happened then? When you decided that, you want to take a back step?
Yeah.
You want to change and rechannelize your energy into
Yeah.
something else in
Yeah.
life. What happened?
So I had, I think I became India number one when I was 20, 21 types.
Yeah.
And by the time I was 23, 24, I realized that my game had sort of reached a plateau. And I was not getting ahead anywhere. And the environment or the ecosystem I was training was not supportive enough to get me to a top 20 in the world. I broke into top 100, but top 20 is a different league. You have to have your own team. When I say own team, you have to have a physio, you have to have a SNC, a coach, just working with you. And it's very expensive.
Yeah.
And I felt in terms of that, it was a long gap to bridge from where I was to where I had to get. So it was a very hard decision, but I feel that I was very clear with the decisions I've made and with
Right.
whatever decisions I've made till now, be it playing badminton as a professional or quitting the sport. So I've been very clear. So I felt it was a long gap to bridge. And I didn't want to play for the sake of playing. Because, see, the sport has given me so much. I
Yeah.
respect myself and I
Yeah.
respect the sport that's given me so much. I didn't want to be disrespectful and just play without... Because if you
Yeah.
lose the belief, if you don't have belief within
Right.
yourself, you're not going to wake up at 4:30 and train like your life depends on the session, right?
True.
So that was not happening. And when this feeling started coming, I said ki nahi, bas aur nahi hoga mere se. I've trained, I've played how much ever I can with whatever resources I had. And beyond this, it was just a wise decision to make.
Oh my God, like, investing so much of your life and time
Yeah.
into a sport,
Yeah.
and then having the clarity, weighing all the options, and knowing when to pull the plug.
Yeah.
I really commend your ability to take that decision, because it is not an easy one.
Yeah.
It's very easy to talk about it here, but
Yeah.
I'm sure you must have gone through a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
Must have weighed so many things, and
Yeah.
then you decided that, this is not the right way
Yeah.
to go forward for you in life.
Yeah.
And maybe there's
Yeah.
something else waiting for you.
Yeah.
And what did you transition into? What was waiting for you?
So that initial transition phase was extremely tough.
Yeah, I
like
can
I
imagine.
was I don't know. I mean, maybe I was in depression, anxiety. I was crying because my whole life I'm like, I want to be world number one. Now I don't. I'm directionless. I don't know. The only thing I knew till then was to play badminton. Of course, I was studying.
True.
But I didn't study like my life depends on it.
True.
Badminton, I played like my life depended on it. So
Yeah.
I was completely directionless.
I mean, your world changed.
My world changed.
I mean, your world, the whole world that you built, now it was a blank
It
space.
was a blank space. And parents weren't happy because, see, there's a saying, it takes a village to make an athlete, right? But in my case, it was my parents.
Yeah.
So they were equally invested. My mother was extremely unhappy. She was very unhappy with the decision. She's like, so much effort we've put in, you've
Yeah.
put in. At least play, give it another shot. But I was very clear that I was not enjoying it. And those things were happening. And because at the end, you have to play.
Yeah,
no?
yeah.
I told my mother, you're not playing for me. No, I have to play. No?
True.
So then when I made that decision, it was extremely tough. But one thing I realized ki whatever I do, I will do in the sporting industry and the sporting space because that's what I have done
Yeah.
for the maximum part of my life.
During this time, was there something that happened, that helped you sort of put things in perspective? Was some advice you got,
Yeah.
to define what success is, or to define what, it's okay to make a change of path? Was
Yeah.
there anything that you got?
Yes, I think at that time I was in this victim mode, this Kabir Singh mode ki arey breakup
No,
ho
rightly
gaya.
so, rightly so.
I have broken up with badminton. My
Yes.
life is gone.
Yeah.
Barbaad ho gayi, this and that. But I remember there was one instance that it's so clear in my head even now that I was traveling, me, my dad, and my dad's friend were there in the car, and we were going. And he was asking, my dad's friend was asking me what happened now, what's next. And I was again doing my sob story, uncle this, uncle that. I wasted my time, this, that, and he was also adding to the fire. Oh no, it's okay, you'll do something. Don't
Yeah.
worry, it happens.
Yeah.
This and that, giving me reassurance. And my dad intervened, and he's like, "What are you guys talking? I
Yeah.
mean, like, are you mad? You have achieved so much. Being India number one is not like not every other person is India number one, or not every other person has reached top 100 in the world, right?
Yeah, let's just remind ourselves that India
Yeah.
number one is it's not
It's-
an easy
yeah.
space to get into. It's
It's
years of
it's years
intense-
of training and years of effort and hard work, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, how can you say you've not been successful in sport, right?
Yeah.
Because you've achieved so much. There's so many people dreaming to be where you currently are.
True.
And you're saying and you're on this negative loop, negative spiral ki I've wasted my time playing
Yeah.
badminton.
Yeah.
So that one thing sort of changed the switch. Like it turned my switch on ki maybe it's time for you to actually pat yourself on the back and say ki you've done well.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's not that, just because you've not reached something you've thought in your head,
Yeah.
which is not even in reality, that, oh, you want to, just because you've not reached that dream that you've thought in your head doesn't make you a failure in life,
Yeah.
right? So
And
that
what is success? You rank number one is success.
Is success.
I mean, like, what is success?
What
If rank number one
that's
is
what,
not, right?
That's what. So that's what he told me, and he also said that, see, you can't measure success.
Yeah.
It's very perspective, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's like looking at the glass half empty or half full.
True.
At the end, it's the same glass. No.
Absolutely.
So it's sometimes you have to appreciate what you've actually achieved rather
Yeah.
than just
You can't be
saying,
so hard
you
on
can't be so
yourself.
hard on yourself.
I think that perspective, like
Yes.
you said, half full and
Yeah,
half empty,
empty.
is so important
It's very
in life.
important, yeah.
Because you're going to see so much of transition happening. You're going to invest yourself in something that
Yeah.
never worked out.
Yeah.
And I think to be able to recoup and reroute is,
Yes.
I think that's also a skill that one must
Yes,
know. in
and it's
today's
important because you can't be like throwing yourself down and stepping on yourself.
Yeah.
You have to sometimes motivate and say ki koi nahi, you've done
Yeah.
well in life.
Yeah.
So
And-
so once that happened, then I was on the right track.
Yeah.
I was like,
And then you were out, you were trying to do something else.
Yes.
Did you go back to college, study? Did you take up something else?
yes. So then I thought ki because of being a professional athlete, I had never gone to college. Let me experience college life.
Yeah.
And my mother also was like, at least study now.
Yeah.
Get an MBA for me. Anyways, you start playing, at least do this for me. I said, theek hai, chalo, because you're saying.
And I'm sure you're a good student.
Yeah,
Considering,
yeah.
you
I
were?
think all badminton players, if I can say so,
Yeah.
are good in studies.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think because of the time you get, right? You get only 1 hour to study, and you have to fully focus that 1 hour. See, it's quality over quantity, right?
Yeah.
The lesser you study, you know that you just
Yeah.
have 1 hour and you will put in your full effort and your full focus.
Yeah.
And also badminton is a very focus driven sport. You're constantly looking at the shuttle and that sort of helps you. And it's
Yeah.
very intuitive also.
Yeah.
So how many of our badminton players I've come across, all of them
True.
are intelligent and like they study well.
True. So then what happens afterwards? You from sport, you went back into studies, got your
Yeah,
MBA.
Got my MBA done.
MBA in?
I did my MBA in sports management from IIM Rohtak.
Okay.
But again, it was at the time of COVID. I
Okay.
had hopes of going and studying at the university.
Finally.
But no, but that didn't happen because it was COVID.
Yeah.
So again, it was online.
Okay. So never actually got to live the college
Yeah,
life.
that's I wouldn't say a regret, but I think that's something I miss that I've not
Yeah.
lived. Even in school, I sort of didn't. From 8th standard onwards, I stopped going to school too much. I would go once a week or twice a week. So I've not had a college or a school life for that. Say.
But you have a social life, like friends.
Not yes, back in the day, not too many. When I was like early on in my career, when I was juggling between academics and sport.
Yeah.
But of course, later on, once I realized after 10th, I definitely had a social life.
Yeah, you went out, and because I think
Not
it's
too
also-
many times,
Yeah.
but
someone to talk to.
yeah, you need
Yeah.
to cut off from the sport as well,
Yeah,
right? Otherwise,
yeah.
it's so high pressure that you need to have those conversations and interactions. Again, it was all with badminton friends.
Yeah.
I didn't have like a circle outside badminton, but it was all badminton friends and just hanging out like. In like you'll sit maybe for once the session is done at 6, probably you'll just sit for half an hour more and
Okay.
those things, because weekends are gone in resting, so you
Yeah.
have to sleep because every other day you're waking up so early, so weekends are just gone in resting.
Yeah.
So during the sessions, breaks, you just sort of talk and those kind of things. And when you're traveling,
And I think
you
for
have a lot of
somebody
time.
who is not in sports, if they heard this, they would be like, I don't think so I can live that life. Like, it is so much of routine, so much of, every day you're eating a particular kind of food, every day you're waking up at a particular time, your body hurts, you have to get your physio. It's so much of dedication, like every day,
Yeah.
day after day. And you don't get to do all the other, other very casual things. But I think
Yeah.
being so focused and being so disciplined adds up later in life. It makes you and builds you into something
Yeah.
very, very formidable.
Yeah.
Yeah?
So yeah, see, it's a very boring life.
Is it?
Playing sport is very boring because if it can't be exciting because there are so many highs and lows, so you have to sort of keep it at a level playing field. And it's very boring. You have to wake up in the morning, you have to train, you have to come back, then you have to eat your meal, then again you have to go train, then after you'll come back, eat a meal, then you'll sleep for some time, then again you'll go train, come back, you'll have your dinner and sleep because you have to wake up early in the morning.
But I think, to get to a very good level in anything, it requires so much discipline and so much consistent effort.
Correct.
Anything.
Anything in life will be boring because you're doing the same thing over and again, because there has to be consistency.
And that's the only way you'll go
That's
forward.
the only way you're going to go forward. If
Yeah.
you say ki har din will be different, today will be exciting, tomorrow will be a lull, it's not going to happen.
I think today people lack that. Like,
Yes.
when we look at the crowd, look
Yeah.
at the people, you see that there's no routine.
Yeah.
You might be doing different things, but I think if you do that over and over again, put your effort into the right things over and over again, that would really help. But
Yeah.
do you see that? Do you see that like in the younger generation?
No, I don't see that, because every day is they get some new idea, or they get bored with the current thing they're doing, or maybe they switch the sport because they're not seeing instant results. So, I mean, it's all muscle memory, right? You have
Yeah.
to do something over a long period of time for that to naturally come. For a sport like badminton, for you to naturally play strokes to the corner, you have to keep doing it. It's repetition.
Yeah.
The more you do, the better you get at it.
Yeah.
The lesser you do, you're not going to get good at it.
Right.
So, and this applies to any field you're doing in life.
Yeah.
The more you do something, the better you get it. And the more you're doing something, it is boring.
Yeah.
So you have to find ways to make it exciting.
True.
You have to keep small targets, small goals, so that you're motivated and you're looking forward to it. You can't just say in the air that I want to become an Olympic medalist tomorrow. That's not going to happen. You have to make that big goal, you have to break it into smaller goals. Make those smaller goals into micro goals and try and achieve that goal so that there is excitement.
I think I'm going to take this from the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep smaller goals because
Yeah.
I have very big goals.
Yeah.
And I think this is a very good point that you
Yeah.
made, that the smaller goals do help
Keeps you-
incentivize,
yeah.
the motivation.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. But
Yeah.
did you go on to become a coach? Because usually they go on to become coaches. But did you feel like coaching was something interesting for you, or did you go on to do something else?
So initially I did badminton coaching because
Yeah.
I was confused. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But I did that for 2 years and I realized this is not my cup of tea.
Back to the same routine.
Back to the same routine, the same hours,
Same
the same
world.
sport,
Yeah.
the same thing. It's a lot of grind.
Yeah.
And for you to be a coach, you have to be equally invested as an athlete because otherwise it's not happening. And I didn't want to do coaching for the commercial aspect of it, just to
Yeah.
make money. That was not something in mind. If I said if I do coaching, I would want to produce the next champion.
Yeah?
That was the mindset.
Nice.
If I did it.
Yeah.
But clearly I didn't enjoy it because I had done 15 years of the same
Yeah.
thing, and again to do it for the rest of my life was not something I enjoyed. But at the same time I was thinking maybe I'm not on the field, I'll do something off the field, and that could be anything. That was the time I was doing a lot of internships here and there. I was doing a lot of volunteering because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Okay.
I was like, just keep your ego aside. You are something on the badminton court, but
Yeah.
you're nothing outside. People don't know you like regularly. You might be India number one, but off the court, nobody knows you. You're just somebody who has to do the work that's given to them.
True.
So that's when I did a lot of internships. I did volunteering, and when I was volunteering with an NGO called Enable India that provides employment opportunities for persons with disability.
Right.
There people knew I had played badminton at a certain level. They connected me to a blind football coach in Kerala. He was the head coach for the Indian blind football team. He
Okay.
said, you come over, we'll see if we can explore something. And I attended a coach's seminar there for blind football.
Okay.
So that's when I understood that there's so much more to sport. It's just not sport to like I've played an individual sport, right?
Yeah.
Individual sport makes you very selfish. It's always about your performance, your medals, your body fat, your weight. It's just me, myself.
It's centered around
It's
you.
centered
Obviously,
around
because
you,
you're playing.
because you're
Yeah.
playing. But when I went there, I thought there's so much more to sport. I had
Oh.
never so I didn't even know that there is a sport called blind football. People who can't see, who are visually impaired, can actually play football.
True.
And I was blown by the fact that how is this even possible? Like,
It's crazy.
Like you close your eyes, how are you going to play football?
I mean, we can't imagine
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I mean, that's the hats off to them.
Yeah, so that curiosity kicked me. I thought, let me go and explore and understand how is this even possible?
Nice.
So then I went to Kerala, and Bangalore, Kerala is an overnight bus. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not going to cost me that much. So it was
Yeah.
a 3-day seminar I went to attend. I learned a lot about what blind football is, about blind athletes in general, how they work, how they function, how they move around. And then I came back, and then again I was doing my usual stuff. I was prepping for my entrance of that IIM, that
Okay.
MBA I was giving. And
Okay.
the same coach called me saying, hey, I mean, there are a few blind football athletes who are training in Bangalore. Now that you've done a coach's seminar, why don't you put that certificate into use?
Okay.
So then I said, theek hai, why not do it? Because COVID was happening and I had like time, and then the lockdowns were sometimes it was on, off. In the morning it was relaxed. So those days I would go in the morning and train. So I went and met these group of blind football athletes we had. There were about 10, 15 of them.
Yeah.
And I was like...
Girls, right?
Girls and boys. We had
Okay.
girls and boys over there. I think about 10 girls and about 4-5 boys were there. And they were all from different parts of India.
Oh, okay.
Bangalore is like a hub generally for a lot of people come for their jobs,
Yeah.
but the opportunities people who are visually impaired
True.
get in Bangalore is much more than any other city.
I think Bangalore is a place not just for visually impaired, but,
But
generally
for
all
generally all
disability.
disabilities,
Yeah.
they are a lot more inclusive that
Yeah,
way. The
yeah.
opportunities are more.
Yeah, true.
So they had all come either to study or
Yeah.
either to find some job, and they were all a very close, tight knit group.
Okay,
And I
nice.
was like a outsider because for them to even trust me, because see, I mean. Lot of people get into that and then exploitation happens and misuse of trust happens.
True.
So for me to build that trust took time. Because I had to ensure them that, I don't want anything from you guys. I am just giving. I want to help you guys. And I'm doing it for my thing. I'm not doing for you guys. I want to learn more about the sport. I want to know what it feels like to help other people do well in life.
What a switch. I mean, like
Yeah.
switching from everyone, making sure that you do your work
Yeah.
to you putting your effort into somebody else's performance.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
I mean, I think your parents have done such a wonderful job
Yeah.
that you're able to probably, replicate that.
And
with
this was
these-
something I learned from my mother, right?
Yeah.
Because she sacrificed her career for me.
Yeah.
So I thought, if I can, do my bit to give
Yeah.
back to
Yeah.
sport that's given me so much in life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great thing, right? Because at the end, it's about impact.
Yeah.
What impact you give for yourself and for others.
Awesome.
That's what I believe, and that's how it started.
Yeah.
So that journey into blind football started from there on. So every day I stay in Koramangala. The
Yeah.
football ground was in Yashwantpur.
Okay.
So morning I would go we would have the session from 5 to 8.
Yeah.
So that I'm not missing out my studies and my
Yeah.
coaching that I was doing simultaneously, because
Right.
I did coaching because I needed money as well. I
Okay.
was 24, 25. I didn't how many years will I live off my parents'
Now you have
money,
to earn
right?
your own money.
Now I have to earn my own money
You have to do that for yourself. I mean,
for yourself.
Yeah.
So I was doing badminton coaching for those 2 years. I was
Yeah.
doing a lot of things in those 2-3 years. I was
Yeah.
doing badminton coaching. I was doing my IIM MBA. I was doing blind football coaching.
But seriously, hats off to you for retiring so high and
Yeah.
then taking a very humble route to
Yeah.
rediscover your purpose in
Yeah.
life, to find more meaning in
Yeah.
life, because I think it takes immense courage and somewhere an understanding of how life works to re-navigate and, go back and see what you really connect with.
Correct,
And I think you've done it beautifully and it just feels so good even just listening to it that, that this is possible and one must look at life like this.
Yeah.
So when you went on, and we all know, I know that the blind football team that you coached, they went on to win the national championship.
Yeah.
But what happened? Like, what was the things that you discovered, your, experiences with them?
Yeah, a lot of experiences, and they're all eye-opening experiences,
Yeah.
right? Simple things like, giving instructions.
Yeah.
So I was telling them, go there.
Yeah.
You can see me, so I'm saying go there. But they're not able to see me. They're like, ma'am, what does go there mean? So then they're saying, ma'am, you don't say go there, go here. You tell us, ma'am, 45 degree to the right, 10 steps to the left, or 10 steps forward, 10 steps backwards. These kind of instructional communication is important, ma'am. Otherwise, you're saying go there, go here. It's not possible for us to sort of
Yeah.
connect and understand. So that was a eye-opener in terms of how I am communicating with the athletes. So that was a big eye-opener. And back in the day, see, we were a nobody, right?
Yeah.
We didn't have any funding from anyone. So it was all like a
Self-funded.
bootstrapped, self-funded. I can't ask those athletes any
Right.
money because they're all from very lower, on the lower side of the
Is it?
coming from the lower side of
What
the
What
background.
about the rich, families who do have kids who are visually impaired?
I don't know. I mean, all of them were from the weaker sections of the society. Parents were in other towns. Parents were farmers, or
Oh, is
parents
it?
were doing some blue collar jobs, or cleaners, or auto drivers, or bus conductors. People from those backgrounds had only come. I think parents, I mean, I don't know if it's safe to say, at least what I realized, parents who have, on the wealthier side, who have kids
Yeah.
with disability are not as much open to sort of sending their kids
More protective.
more protective. They want to keep them in that comfort zone.
And also maybe they feel the pressure of society more.
Societal pressure. What
Yeah.
will my family think?
Yeah.
What will they say? What will they say?
Yeah,
But generally, I mean, I think that's the difference between city parents and village parents, right?
Yeah.
Village parents don't care. I mean, theek hai,
Community.
you do, it's fine. You do you.
Yeah.
We will let you go
Okay.
and you do. So
Nice.
that way they were very supportive from whatever all those girls I was training
Yeah.
and the boys I had, because they all come from the northeastern,
Yeah.
some rural part of Tamil Nadu, from Kerala, from
Wow.
Karnataka. No one was from Bangalore. None
Oh.
of them were from Bangalore.
Oh.
They were all from
But
different.
they're part of the Karnataka team.
Yes, they were all part of the Karnataka
wow.
team because we registered the trust in Bangalore.
Wonderful. And then what was there like a turning point when they were obviously they were not playing for the state or anything when you were starting to coach them, right?
So yeah, initially it was tough because Josh mein they started coming for 1-2 weeks.
Yeah.
But after that they stopped coming.
Okay.
And I'm like, why? So some of the girls, the top players stopped coming. Then I said, why are they not coming? And then they were like, no. So one friend said, no, ma'am, her parents are not allowing her to come. And then I had to go and speak to their parents, ki please allow them to come and play. And they were like, no, what is my daughter going to get from playing football? Counseling them. Because they were in a different... So they had sort of come for a job, but then they don't get a job, so then they go back. So then they were like, no, what is the use? She's just on her own spending money and not getting anything in return. Right? So then I had sort of convinced them ki I've realized, see, when you're blind, you're always using the support of another person or you're walking around with a cane.
Yes.
But when they came into the football ground, they had freedom because they knew the measurements.
Oh, okay.
So they would just run like they were free.
Oh, wow.
Like jail say when you set people of how they behave, they were like that. And that happiness, and I had to explain to them just that happiness on your daughter's face, that when she enters the football ground, because they know the measurements, it's 10, how many, 50 steps, 100 steps, whatever, they knew.
And they're counting constantly.
And they're counting constantly. They know how, so then they're just running freely. That sense of freedom, don't take it away from your daughter.
Wow.
And then the father sort of convinced, and I said, you give us some time, sir. There's this tournament coming, or you give us time till the tournament.
Yeah.
If then you do whatever you want, you take your daughter back if she's not doing well.
Right.
So then I was able to convince him, and then he's like, theek hai. Then that girl again came back with me.
Wow. Is there do you see a stark difference in talent or, in terms of effort that these kids put, visually impaired, disability?
Correct.
Is there a contrast between how they treat these kind of opportunities versus, normal kids?
100%. There's a huge difference because this is all they have.
Is it?
Yeah. Because see, they are already, society sees them, doesn't look at them in the right way. Ki, or disability, there's so much sympathy, you can't see, there's so much of not good comments that people pass.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely, yeah.
So, and what other options do they have, right? Of course, they study. Sport, I feel, is an amazing opportunity because they're fully invested. They know that if they do well in sport, it can make or break their careers. And they're fully committed because an able person like you and I, we have so many opportunities. If like, I didn't want to do sports, so I decided let me do something else. So the opportunities are plentiful, right? But for them, it is just this.
Yeah.
And it's giving them an identity.
Yeah.
It's giving them that sense of freedom.
Yeah.
That they can be who they want. They can express themselves the way they...
It's a happiness space.
It's a happiness space for them. So they put in more effort, I see, than the regular able-bodied athletes, from what I come across. Because for the able-bodied athlete, the struggle starts when they start playing sport. But for a disabled athlete or a para-athlete, it starts even in life itself is a struggle for them.
True.
So life itself has been so unfair, so tough that sport is easy.
Oh, wow. That's such a different world for them then. Sport is a different world for them.
It's a different, and it's a completely different sport, and that's why they're all in.
Yeah.
They're fully invested and they're all in.
Nice. And how was it to travel with them and you lived with them? Like what, because see, to first-hand experience something like that in that crowd, I'm sure you would have thought of, how your life as a sportsman was.
Yeah. It was very different.
Yeah.
So I remember that full train journey. The tournament was in Chennai, Bangalore to Chennai. We went. We did like a sleeper bus, sleeper train. Train. And we were short on seats because we didn't have, for some reason, we didn't get number of seats. So we all sitting and going.
Yeah.
It was an amazing journey. And then when we checked into the room, I was sharing the room with 3 other blind girls.
Yeah.
And they told me, ma'am, and it was a small room, you give me a room tour, you give us a room tour, and then you don't worry about us. We'll do you, like you do you, we'll do us.
Okay.
So then I gave them a room tour. I'm saying this is the commode, this is a washroom, this is a tab, this is that, this is where the bed is, the sofa is, cupboard is, place for you to keep your bag, you keep your bag here and all of that. And I was like, okay, you need any help? Because I don't want to be like rude and just sleep. I also offered help. You let me know if you need anything.
Yeah.
So then I was sleeping. I said, you girls sleep on the bed and I'll sleep on the sofa so that everyone's comfortable. So then I was sleeping and then one girl just wakes up. She says, I want to go to the washroom. So then I on the light thinking she needs the light. But then I didn't realize that, they are visually impaired. So why am I onning the light? That was like the first...
Oh my God.
Realization ki it's an automatic thing, right? You want to go to the washroom, you're on the light.
Yeah.
So that was like a eye opener.
Yeah.
Why are you on the light? Then
Yeah.
second is I asked her, do you want me to come?
Yeah.
She's like, no, ma'am, we know. 3 steps front, 4 steps right, 3 steps right again. The washroom will come. And I was like, "Arey, what is this?" Like
Just one time,
just
I
one
don't know.
time, and that muscle memory is so good. That memory was so good.
Yeah.
That I mean, there's a saying, God closes one door, opens another.
Yeah.
They can't see, but their memory is so strong. Their sense of touch is so strong. Their hearing is so strong. The sense of smell is so strong. That it was like, I mean,
Wow.
it was an amazing, it made me value my life so much more.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Nisha, when I worked with them, like
Yeah.
I felt that I was just being an ass.
Yeah.
With the life, just complaining. See, we just complain. Everyone likes complaining, right?
True.
As humans, we all complain.
Yeah.
But when you see the struggles they go through, and then still looking at it in a positive manner, right?
Yeah.
Not cribbing ki, no, God has been unfair, I can't see, but looking at it in a very positive way and doing things that, maybe you can't see, but there are other things you can do, and
Yeah.
working towards that
Yeah.
was commendable, and hats off to them.
Yeah, and what stands out to me in this conversation with you is choosing a path. I'm sure this is not financially rewarding,
Yeah.
but the satisfaction I can see
Yeah.
in your talk, it just reminds me that, how some things are like you can never put a price to it.
Yeah.
So what would you like, just one word of, advice or a suggestion to people who always think about, financially making more versus doing something that really satisfies and you connect with? What would you say to them?
See, I agree money is important,
Yeah.
and there has to be a balance between both. But
Yeah.
again, it's important to know how much is enough. Because, see, I don't lead a very materialistic life. For you to lead a simple life, it's important to know what you need financially.
Yeah.
And at the same time, satisfaction. Because it goes hand in hand. But again, it depends. It's a very personal thing, right? You're at a certain stage in life.
Yeah.
You will be having responsibilities of other people.
True.
So you need to understand what is enough and what is too much.
Yeah.
Because you don't need too much money to actually survive.
Yeah.
If you want to live a simple life, little money, you can survive, is what I feel.
Absolutely. True.
But again, understanding how much is enough is important, and impact, because the happiness you get by helping others,
Yeah.
by seeing other people grow is something words, like I can't sit here and explain that.
Yeah.
You'll have to do it and experience it yourself, because it keeps you grounded, it keeps you humble.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, at the end, it's goodwill. No, people should remember you for the good you've done. If you
Yeah.
keep doing good for yourself, how will people remember you?
Yeah. I think to move from, a self-centric space to contributing
Yes.
socially
Yeah.
to the community,
Yeah.
Volunteering,
Yeah.
being part of something that matters.
Yeah.
I think Bangalore has so much opportunity.
Absolutely.
And so little knowledge. The first time when I got to know about you, the thing that struck me, of course, you're ranked number 1, but the thing that struck me was how you changed and turned around and you're building a life that is way beyond you.
Correct.
And that is so important today, that you do something for more than yourself.
Yeah.
Do you think, kids should volunteer more? Parents should teach them to, Bangalore has ample opportunity to volunteer, to be part of something bigger. Do you think
Yeah.
that's important?
I think it's very important, and I believe everyone has time. I mean, in this world, everyone says, I'm too busy. Everyone has time. It's about making time.
Yeah.
And it's about taking that effort.
Yeah.
And literally in Bangalore, you can volunteer for everything. There's a volunteering
True,
opportunity.
true.
Even your passion will have, like if your passion is music,
Yeah.
you can go and teach kids music.
Yeah.
Because the amount of gratitude, the amount of satisfaction, and I always believe in goodwill, right?
Yeah.
The amount of goodwill you will get is, you'll be so proud of yourself.
Yeah.
And seeing someone else pick up the skills that you have, it's an amazing feeling. And Bangalore has so many opportunities. It's just about taking that time out, taking that initiative, and
Yeah.
stop thinking only about you, me, myself, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Move out of that and think about how you can help the world, how you can help your own community be a better place.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
True. And now looking forward into your life, what is your plan in terms of, what do you want to do with para-athletes? Because you are focused on, you're working with para-athletes. You want to do something in that space. What
Yeah.
are you thinking?
So right now, of course, I want to be in the sporting industry and sporting space, and I've been working with para athletes. It's been for the company I work with. I've been there. I've been with this company for about 3 years, and before that, 2 years with blind football. I definitely want to be in the para ecosystem, and the plan now is to get the underdeveloped kids, the disabled kids from the rural areas, to sort of bridge a gap between the underprivileged kids and opportunity, because talent exists everywhere, Nisha. Every corner of the country there is talent.
Right.
But it's just that they don't have the awareness and they don't have the right opportunity. So build a platform, a bridge where you can give these underprivileged kids that opportunity to play sport, to express themselves in sport, because I have seen sport changing careers for para athletes. That para athlete who was one a burden on the family is now the breadwinner of the family. That's how it changes families. So and I want to do that for a lot more people, for a lot more disabled kids in the country. So that's what I'm working towards.
Awesome. That's just great to hear. And when it comes to people, a lot more people who have been in sports who decide to go away from sports after a certain stage. What would what is the few things that you would tell them?
See, I would tell them, one is whatever you're doing, you have to be passionate about it, because if you're playing sport, you did it because you were passionate about it. So whatever you do post your retirement is something you have to be passionate about. So you can't say ki theek hai, I've played sport, now I'll go and do a 9 to 5 job. You will not be able to do it. It is because that's something you're not passionate about. So find an aspect to your life that you're passionate about and give it your all, because as athletes, one thing is there that you're disciplined, you're hardworking, you know those things.
Right.
It's just that you have to just shift your focus from on the field to off the field. And you'll be able to change lives.
Awesome. And how long did it take for you to build this football team into the, to make them win the national championship?
About a year.
I mean, in a year, you changed them from, just being a regular football team.
Yeah, to a national champions in a year from I did that blind football club. I ran the club for 3 years, and we ended up being the national champions at the end of the 3 years.
Nice.
Not at the start of the 3 years. Of course, in the process, a lot of athletes go, a lot of athletes come. That thing keeps happening. Athletes go and come. People have their reasons to.
I think the most beautiful story weaving in your story is that, one, I think your mom had a great opportunity to fulfill her desire, her aspiration through you, and you got to, you became top of the country, and then you decided to step away from it, and then you went on to help so many other people, not just regular people but blind kids, and you made them the national champions. And I think there's a huge effort from as a coach that one has to put in. It's a very different effort, patience, and it's a lot of dedication as well. You're literally a mirror to them, right?
Correct.
So I think it's a formidable journey, and I feel so proud talking to you. I feel like, what a transition and just so much learning. It is, it's great to be on the top of your career all through your life, but to make so many things happen in one life and to be able to beautifully weave them together, I'm sure people listening to you, they're going to be so inspired, because this is what reality is. Right? It's one thing after another. It's not just one thing and you're going to stay there. So I think it's just so great to hear all these. Is there anything else you would want to add? Something that you would want to tell, something you felt like, you wish you knew earlier to the audience?
I think the message I would want to probably give young sporting talents out there, that's something I can do. I think I've not touched upon that. Is don't run for the medals or don't run for the results. Run for the process. Try and master the process. Because once you get the process right, the result is just an outcome of the process, which is not in your hands. So what is in your control? The process is in your control.
True.
The outcome is not in your control.
True.
And this is something I even use it in my life now. This is applicable even outside sports. What you think of it, if you're stuck in a problem, what is in your control? XYZ. So you do that. The ABC is not in your control, just leave it and move on.
Right.
So if you are able to bring this difference in life becomes very easy and very simple.
The clarity
is there. It's in front of you.
What's in your control and what is not. And just focus on what's in your control.
That,
Great. I mean, it's such a delight to speak to you, and I'm You're such an authentic person, and I really admire your strength and your clarity of thought and your discipline. And I really hope people can come to recognize that, maybe pick few things from you. It's so great to have you on the show, Reshma. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nisha, for having me and giving me this opportunity. It's my first podcast, so I hope people are able to take away some learnings from this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure they're going to love, like, going to love listening to, how you rebuilding a life, and how you're making something more meaningful out of your life.
Thank you.
It's lovely to talk to you.
Thank you so much, and thank you guys as well.